Good evening, everybody. Mr. Balker here. I'm going to go over our grammar lesson for the week. I'm going to do it in this format here because I think it's actually a little bit cleaner for you guys to be able to see what I'm clicking on the screen. So let's go ahead and go through it. It is a whole new lesson. We're on an entirely new phase. We are on grammar, unit 8.2.1, modifying the subject. This lesson and this whole premise is all about descriptive things, okay? And so specifically, we're working on adjectives today. An adjective is a word that describes a noun, okay? It is a big house. It is a blue car. Those are both adjectives. So on slide 2, our first question is, I buy organic vegetables from the local farmer's market near my house. The adjectives that modify things here are both organic and local. The question is, what modifies vegetables? What kind of vegetables are they? Organic vegetables. Answer is A. Hit save and continue. The next one. Have you had chocolate recently? Most Americans eat about 12 pounds of it each year. They're asking what the word most describes. And conveniently in this one, it happens to follow it. Most. Most what? Most Americans. The other way to derive that is which Americans eat it? Most Americans, okay? If you thought that it was pounds and you said, okay, which pounds? And it said most pounds, that doesn't make any sense, right? Specifically, most is modifying Americans. They do not always follow the word, however. Third one, I'll attend to them later. My first business is with Prometheus. What word in this sentence modifies what kind of business Zeus has? Again, this one precedes it immediately. My first business is with Zeus, or sorry, is with Prometheus. I will let you do 4 and 5 on your own. And then we're going to go to adjective phrases. An adjective is one word, okay? Big, tall, short, fat, ugly, blue, gray, whatever, one word. An adjective phrase is something that expands that, and it'll have multiple words. So here's our sentence. It's happening right now. Every day in the Ivory Coast, as well as in Ghana, Nigeria, and Cameroon, about 300,000 children are forced to pick cocoa beans. Which group of words modify the noun children? So here's what they're trying to ask you guys. Which children are we talking about? We're talking about the 300,000 children, and we're also talking about the children that are forced to pick cocoa beans. That's which children. Both of these is the correct answer. Oops. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our next one. His old employers on the railroad quickly came to the same conclusion. The new Phineas is unreliable and, at times, downright nasty. He insults old workmates and friends. Which phrases describe Phineas? Okay, Phineas is described right here as unreliable and at times downright nasty. They don't describe him as his old workmates. They don't describe him as quickly come to the conclusion. That's the employers that come to the conclusion, okay? He is described as unreliable and at times nasty. D is your correct answer there. Third one, positive it would hold his weight. He walked up the trees and climbed onto the branch next to Ben. What is modifying he? Okay, again, we want to figure out what specifically are we talking about on he. The he in question here is positive to hold his weight. It's modifying he. It's telling us what he thought. It's telling us what was in his mind. It's describing him. He is positive, okay? I can let you do 4 and 5 on your own. Let's go to number 4. Prepositional adjectives. A prepositional adjective is one that it functions as an adjective and it expands the subject. You're getting more information. Which group of people? That group of people. Which boy? The boy with the blue belt. We're expanding the subject to provide specificity. So in our first example here, the straws in our school are covered in white paper. Which straws? The ones in our school. Next one. Cocoa beans from the Ivory Coast make about half the chocolates eaten in America in 1 year. Which cocoa beans are we talking about? The ones from the Ivory Coast. Simple as that. Next one. Our eccentric founding father, Ben Franklin, pretending to be a woman named Silence Dogood, wrote about women's practical approach to marriage. Which adjective, phrase, or phrases modifies Ben Franklin? What do we know about Ben Franklin? We know that he was our eccentric father, and he was pretending to be a woman named Silence Dogood. Both of these prepositional phrases describe Ben Franklin. I'll let you do 4 and 5 on your own. We're almost at the end. An adjective clause is a little bit different than an adjective phrase because it doesn't sit by itself. It does contain a subject and a predicate, but by itself, it's used to describe something. And I know that this is a little bit complicated, but look at this very first one here. 143 of the women who died in the shipwreck were first-class passengers. 3 of these women died by choice because they didn't get off the lifeboats that rescued the others. Which noun does the underline adjective? Who died in the shipwreck? What are we talking about that died in the shipwreck? Women. And when I said earlier that it can be a sentence on its own, right here, died in the shipwreck. Because of the word here at the very beginning, who, we know that it's describing a group. And that's why this can't stand on its own. If it simply said women died in the shipwreck, that would have been fine. But because it says who died in the shipwreck, it is reliant on the information that this is the women we're in reference to. Okay? Next one. 2 households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. Okay. They're trying to give us the clause that tells us the scene, okay? In fair Verona, where we lay our scene. Again, if this simply said, we lay our scene, that would have been fine. But because of the word where here, that now makes this an adjective clause, and it makes it dependent on the other words. Where makes that dependent. Your correct answer is B. Third and final one. Companies that buy cocoa beans from these farmers sign a document promising to pay the farmers a fair trade price. They have underlined that buy cocoa beans from these farmers. Again, look at this, guys. They buy cocoa beans from these farmers. That would be fine, but because it says that buy, now it's dependent on something. What is it dependent on? The companies. That's it. I'll let you do number 4 and 5 on your own. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys for the next lesson. Have a great day.